everybody. I'm just coming from the Ministry of Finance, and I am here because I came to collect money that was seized at the airport by the customs officer. I want you to know that if you are coming into Jamaica and you have cash, which when it is worked out, it is equivalent to 100,000 Jamaican dollars. The customs officer is empowered to seize your cash.
Welcome back to another episode of JAtalks. My name is Jasam, and for today we'll be talking about the lawyer who came and stirred up the internet, speaking about the Jamaica Customs and if it is that you're carrying more than $100,000 Jamaican currency, they can seize it. We're going to go into this. We're going to fact check this. Who is right or who is wrong? Is it she the one who's right? Is the government right? We're going to fact check this and deal with this right after the break.
Jasam Productions presents JAtalks. Director Jasam in the building. Policy, politics, current affairs. Let's go! From the hills of Manchester to the world stage, we turning the leaf, we opening the page. No smiling dentist talk, we keep it real and raw. The truth about the island, from the mountain to the shore. We walk about policy, we talk about politics. Current affairs, we give you all the facts. No tricks, parliament clash or the latest news trend. JAtalks at the place where the message transcend. JAtalks, we attack the truth. JAtalks, inspiring the youth, substance over style, making nation wise. Open up your ears and open up your eyes. Hit the red button, make the community grow like the video now, so the world can know. Hit the bell, don't miss a beat, no delay. JAtalks, the only voice you need today.
Subscribe to the JAtalks movement. Remember, your independence is the foundation of your liberation. In this video now, we are seeing here where the Attorney Dionne Meyler, she was the one who brought it to the attention of Jamaicans, of the media, that $100,000, well, if you have more than $100,000, customs can basically take the money from you if it is that they suspect that what you're doing is fraudulent activity, criminal activity. And so this is what really it brought a lot of widespread debate, criticism. It went viral basically. And so because of that, this went to the highest office, the office of the Prime Minister, because the video, I'm going to post another video where Fayval responded to that, and this was posted by Andrew Hollins on his page, and also Customs also react to this as well. So stay tuned, check the video out, and then we'll be right back.
Persons traveling to Jamaica can bring cash in excess of 100,000 Jamaican dollars. You have to declare if you are bringing in US 10,000 or the equivalent. You have to declare it on your Enter Jamaica electronic form. When you fill that out, coming into Jamaica, you can declare if you have US 10,000 or higher or equivalent. Then we're also saying to you, you could bring in less than US $10,000 without declaring it. So how did this Jamaican 100,000 come into being, into the conversation? It does exist in law, but it is security threshold, or security, including customs, can, if they suspect someone to be coming into Jamaica and they believe them to be carrying whatever, they can question that person, they can investigate. The 100,000 comes about because the law says that's the threshold. So if somebody's coming in with less than 100,000 in their pockets, you wouldn't necessarily go after them. Right, Assistant Commissioner? So that's where the 100,000 comes in. It's just for law enforcement, and it's a threshold so that they're not wasting their time pursuing somebody who's coming in with less than $100,000. So I hope that's clear.
As it relates to the minimum of $100,000, that is the threshold from which you, the law, the legislation, make it for you to start. So if you have, and to date, let me hasten to say, to date, the Jamaica Customs Agency have never seized $1,000 US or $2,000 US. which is more than 100,000 Jamaican dollars. We have never seized that amount or that below that amount of money. The Jamaica Customs Agency knows that majority of passengers traveling are legitimate, hardworking people, both local and persons from overseas. They are hardworking, but we have to be mindful that among the hardworking Jamaicans or people, there are those who try to circumvent the system. We have transnational crime, we have scamming, and the list goes on.
Okay, then, so we just watched both the videos, and so I want to give a comment on. Of course, I'm going to give my commentary on it. When it comes on to the concept of this now, when it comes on to, I didn't know much about this, and when the news just dropped, I believe I should gather my information first. I'm not just going to react for react's sake, and a lot of Jamaicans love to react for react's sake to get clickbait and get views. Here's the thing: if I don't know anything about it, I will not respond to it. You understand? I will not come here on JAtalks and speak about what I do not know. Because here on JAtalks, we only deal with facts over feelings. And so I did not know much about it, so I kept my mouth shut. And so I hear what everybody is saying, and I took it with a grain of salt. Here's the thing. Prior to doing my research on the matter, in my experience, the government will say one thing. And when I say government, this is not limited to the Jamaica Labour Party, because the PNP is also complicit with this as well. The government will say one thing, but the reality says another. And that has always been the long-going issue. So, for example, my personal experience, and I don't know if I think I mentioned it in the past, I will mention it again, where the health minister spoke about, the Ministry of Health or the health department, our health in Jamaica is not so bad. Well, take it from me, where I was at Cornwall Regional Hospital and I had a situation. It wasn't deemed an emergency. Fine, it's not an emergency, but I had to be hooked up to an IV. I can't leave because the security is not going to discharge you. You can't leave the hospital until the doctor says that you should leave. I had to stay overnight. I had to sit down on a bench. If you're gonna stay overnight, you want to sleep. You understand? Because you can't stay overnight and we are going to sleep. That makes sense. And given that I can't leave, I'm not supposed to leave, the security is not going to allow me to leave. Right? And I have to stay there. What if I have to stay there? I have to sleep. Where am I going to sleep? There's no space provided there for me to sleep, because again, rightfully so, my situation was not an emergency situation. So I had to sit on a bench the entire night beside a woman, a mentally challenged woman, who shit up and piss up herself. Them have to tap the woman, and right side of me she's young, and she soiled herself beside me. So when the health minister says, oh, it is not that bad, my reality says something otherwise. And so a lot of Jamaicans do not believe the government because they say something that is on paper, but reality says otherwise. So when the government came out and made their initial statements, I did not say anything because I know the concept of reality versus on paper. No, I don't know persons that were attacking the lawyer, the attorney, as well, because they were saying that she's being malicious, she's trying to cause attention, right? No, I don't know of that. Why would a lawyer want to do that? You understand? It's a waste of time. No, I just don't see any reason for that happening. All right, cool. But anyways, separate from that though, my other issue I want to point out as well, or it's not really an issue, but the other thing I want to really point out though was, all right then, so given that what she says sparked a lot of debate, right? Thankfully, as you indicated, the government indicated that it does exist in terms of the government or the customs authority being able to seize funds if it is that they do deem you doing some illegal activities or some suspicious activities, so you can't, but it is based on the discretion. And I want to look at that specifically based on the discretion. When you say discretion, I am a bit, it's very broad. Discretion is extremely broad. It is not defined, and I believe because it is not defined, it leaves room for error. Now, here is the story that the attorney brought. She indicated that somebody from Bahamas came to Jamaica and their funds were seized. She wasn't the person, the client wasn't given adequate information as to why the funds were seized. She was just given a piece of paper. Now, I had to look up this in terms of the strategy as to how it takes place in terms of the procedure that takes place, basically, as to after your funds have been seized by the customs officer. After your funds have been seized by the customs officer, the customs have to go ahead and make a report and go before a judge within 48 hours to say definitively this is the reason we would have seized the person's assets, and so we ask that the funds be held, and the funds is going to be held with the Financial Investigations Division, FID, which is underneath the Ministry of Finance and Public Service. And this is going to be held for a period of 3 months while an ongoing investigation takes place to check out the background of the individual and to find out whether or not there are illegal, suspicious, or fraudulent activities taking place that would have happened. And so because of this, so the customs officer, after interviewing the client at the airport and so making that determination that, hey, something that add up, I'm going to seize your funds. The funds are seized within 48 hours. Then you have to go to a judge. The judge determines, okay, then we're going to seize the funds. It's held for a period of 3 months, and then every 3 months it's pushed out. Again, let's just look back at what happened. The seizure would have taken place back in June of 2025, and so the funds were released June of this year. So essentially, it has been an entire year where the funds was kept, and then now the funds was eventually released to the attorney. So you had to go now to the attorney, gather attorney, and use the attorney fees in Jamaica not cheap. You had to get an attorney so that to go through the system to get back your funds. I feel like this is a major thing and the major hurdle, and with the bureaucracies that would take place if it is that let us say I have $102,000, which is more than $100,000, and me don't know, the customs officer not like me for whatever reason. You understand? The customs officer may have ill intent because reason for suspicion is a bit broad. He or she can confiscate my funds and not give me any information. You can also make up and fabricate some stuff in front of the court. Theoretically speaking, working with the theoretics here. Theoretically speaking, you can make up some information, go in front of the judge to say XYZ, and now I have to go through the long rigmarole process to get back my funds, retaining an attorney so that I can get my process. Now, if I have $102,000, it is not going to be worth it to get back my funds, because even if I do get it back with interest, the interest is like the same thing as commercial banks, like a 1 to 2%. So you might get back at most, and that's me not know, but at most you get back a $4,000. So if you had $102,000 and they seized the $102,000, you get back $106,000. Basically, the interest would be the additional $4,000. That is basically what would happen. So let us work out the scenario, right? So we're working with what the attorney said, and we're doing the math on what the attorney said. So again, rightfully, to be honest, the attorney did not disclose the funds that was confiscated. right? So it's not $100,000, right? And for the client to be able to retain a lawyer, it has to be way more above $100,000, because unless a lawyer are your friend or your family, you have to pay she too, and she no look cheap. That is not cheap. So in a way, there is still a loss for the client, because the client have got to take up funds to pay the lawyer and then walk away with the difference. There is still a loss for the client, and the fact that the lawyer was able to retrieve the funds, it therefore indicates that the system, the customs officer who initially confiscated the funds, was wrong. And so you essentially inconvenienced the client, the person traveling. So what I'm saying, right, because this doesn't make any sense to me, the fact that based on what the attorney said, right, the attorney indicated that it was a year after the funds was seized by the customs officer, was when 1 year later, this month, was when she was able to get the funds. And so that would have caused a major inconvenience to the client. And I'm looking at this through the lens of, what if in the situation, in the event of an average Jamaican, a person when they really have much money and then have $102,000. This is a scenario that I give because, again, we know for a fact that it has to be the Bahamian traveler client who was inconvenienced needed to have more money than $100,000 in order to retain a lawyer, or else it would make no sense. And so you ask yourself the question, what would happen if it was like $102,000, $105,000 that would be confiscated? Legally or practically, it would make any sense. And then they would push it up with a bureaucratic system. And so because you have the constant extension, it's going to exhaust the client. And they just not about it. Say, it's not worth it. Where is the compensation for that? And so the reason I'm stretching all of this out is because here's the thing. On paper, you say one thing, reality says another thing. Now, I have to take everything that she says with a grain of salt, because I also have to look at the fact that, okay, then, given that you said that, but then customs officer just in the video just indicated that they have not confiscated anybody who has less than $1,000, less than $2,000. And again, he could be correct, because again, the individual who would have retained the lawyer need to have a substantial amount of money so that they would still get some form of money, basically, because you have to pay the lawyer. You understand? And so if this is truly misinformation and disinformation, then she said that she was at Dionne Meyler said that she was at the Ministry of Finance and Public Service outside. Well, what's her name? Fayval Williams would have had access to the records. Fayval Williams should come out and say, hey, on XYZ's date, we did not receive or we did not disperse any such check to anyone. If the information is inaccurate, if no seizure took place, right? Remember, the lawyer said she was outside of the office, the Ministry of Finance and Public Sector's office, to collect the funds that she got the check. So if that is the case, then, and let us say the lawyer is really and truly lying, the minister should come out and say no such funds was dispersed. They would have the records, the digital documentation would be there. You should come out and say, not no go so. So that we can confirm that, hey, this is really and truly misinformation and disinformation that the government so loves to talk about. And then we also have to look at the $100,000 as well, minimum, as both of them that spoke about. That makes sense. So the law was introduced in 2007. And so a lot of props across the government. Well, technically speaking, it was the People's National Party in 2007. The People's National Party was in government. And then in late 2007, Bruce Golding won the election. But this essentially would have been passed during the People's National Party's administration. And so what would have happened essentially was that given that they passed this bill as you indicated, I really PNP come up with the ideas when we see people across Andrew Holness. I really PNP come up with the idea. So, but yeah, $100,000 back in 2007 was a lot of money. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe wasn't teachers getting like $80,000 a month? Right now, minimum wage is what? As of next month, minimum wage is $70,000 a month. Month specifically. My calculation is not correct, but you will see the correct information on the screen. While I'm doing the edit, I'll post the correct information in terms of minimum wage, right? But believe it or not, that is what a teacher would walk away with. A degree teacher would walk away with in 2007, or even less. So back then, the purchasing power of $100,000 would be powerful. Right now in 2026, $100,000 nothing. People with minimum wage soon go and get them the money there. Based on the trajectory and based on the promises of this current administration, $100,000 people with minimum wage will be able to have $100,000 monthly or earn $100,000 monthly. So this don't make no sense. So that specific law needs to be amended, because really and truly $100,000 really is nothing. It really isn't anything. For true, for God no, for true. It don't make no sense. We need to update that information. So in essence, I don't know who is right from who is wrong, but what I know for a fact is, one, the government of Jamaica will say something and mean something else, right? That's one of the things I know in essence. Two, if this person is really being mischievous, if this person is really lying on the government, well, Fayval Williams come out and tell the people and say not no go so that we can confirm say not no go so for true. And three, what if in the situation, in the essence of the situation where my issue is the fact in terms of discretion, the concept of discretion is too broad, it's too vague, and it allows room for somebody to spite you. It allows room for somebody to be prejudiced against you, and so not grant you the access and seize your funds under malicious intent. That discretion is, for me, I am not so comfortable with it. And that is the end of our segment today. Thank you very much, everybody, for supporting my channel, JAtalks. We are now at 326 subscribers. Let us continue, hit that like button, continue to subscribe, and I do read your comments, guys, in the comment section. So if you agree, if you disagree, I read the comments in the comment section, and I thank you for everybody who has been supporting. Until next time, please never forget that your independence is the foundation of your liberation. Walk good, Jamaica.